Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today is Trish Arana. She is with an organization called Retire in Place. I like that. I am retired right now. I mean,
but are you in place?
No, well, I don't know. She's a nurse community liaison for this organization, and you're part of that Senior Team Alliance group that is going around our community.
Absolutely. Senior Alliance Team.
Yes.
It's a great group of community stakeholders who provide all sorts of services for seniors in our area.
We've met lots of people that we didn't know that kind of come out of the woodwork here that are helping our seniors, well, helping me in our community. There's so many of us, and we need a lot of help. So tell us a little bit about Retire in Place.
Retire in Place is an agency that provides as a primary service, a core service, personal care to people in their homes. But Retire in Place, what makes us stand out, although there are some wonderful other agencies in the area, doesn't take anything from any of them. What makes our agency stand out is that we can partner with other organizations, including 5 Star Home Health Care, which is our sister company, to provide wraparound services to people, which will make it possible for them, if they were to choose to do so, remain in their homes, their own homes.
That's
and not
kind of the idea of the whole thing is you don't have to go off to a nursing home or
an assisted living
go live with your kids, right?
Right, absolutely. So it's an alternative to all of those things: nursing home care, assisted living, or living with your kids.
Sure, yeah. So some of the services you provide, what are they?
Well, as I said, personal care, but then we can also bring in things like home maintenance or dietary assistance, to keep people eating correctly and give them the best potential to go forward in a healthy way. So anything that really contributes to that. So, let's see. Like I said, diet and fitness.
You know what it is some people just need a little help on some things.
Well, exactly. And so, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not a one size fits all.
Right.
It really does depend on the person or the people, if there's a couple, and what their particular needs are, which is what we do best, I think, is address them.
Sure.
And as they are, and address
a
those
holistic
needs.
approach, I think.
Indeed.
It is.
Exactly.
So how does it start? How do we know if we need your service?
Well, there typically is one thing that sticks out as a need, and in many cases that's personal care.
Sure.
So many people who are going into assisted living are doing so because they do require assistance with personal care, which could entail anything from bathing, dressing, grooming, and things like that, or even environmental type services to keep their homes clean, to also help them to remain healthy. And so typically that person would contact our office and would be referred to me to speak with them about what we can provide, what we can do for them. And then I would just go out and meet with them. They would, and talk about our services, develop a plan of care, and then implement it.
Right. So everyone is like personalized in a way.
Indeed.
Because no two are exactly the same, are they?
No, no, not at all.
I notice as we get a little older, we have trouble sometimes putting our shoes on or tying our shoes.
Exactly.
I know. It's like I go to the foot doctor. I said I have a hard time, trimming your toenails. You don't realize how things that we've done all our life, all of a sudden one day we wake up and we can't do them.
Exactly. And the way that I see our services is that they allow people to remain, to the extent possible, independent.
Right, as long as possible.
As long as possible.
Yeah.
And so even if they can't, for example, put their shoes and socks on, we will do that for them. One of our caregivers will do that for them. And so it allows them to continue to do the things that they can.
Right.
And to enjoy. That's another component. We would make sure that they had socialization, because that's another thing about assisted living. Really, that's one of their selling points.
Sure.
But it's also something that we can do.
Right. Loneliness is like critical. It's something you don't want to get into.
It's one of the greatest needs that I've found, and I've been doing this for 15 years, and it's one of the greatest needs that people have. And so the fact that we can do this for people, even having the caregiver in the home is a wonderful thing. It just allows them to not be so isolated.
How do people pay for this? Are these covered by grants or insurance, or is it all self-pay?
Well, primarily our services are self-pay. However, we do accept veterans benefits for personal care services. And if someone has a long-term care policy, they can avail themselves of their benefits through that.
Right.
And I did also want to mention 5-Star is a participant, one of less than 400 participants in the country in what's called the Medicare Guide program. And so that's another means by which someone could get services using their Medicare benefit, but it's for people with dementia.
Right.
And so if someone has dementia, and it's also a means by which their caregivers can get respite, which is also really important.
Well, that is like, we finding that out as we're talking to people.
Yes.
That's like, it takes a lot out of you to be a caregiver.
Exactly, which is what makes Guide really wonderful, because there's an annual stipend that someone can have through their Medicare benefit for those respite hours.
Right.
So that's where Retire in Place comes in. We provide the respite hours, and then we can also provide the personal care as well once they've exhausted that Medicare benefit under self-pay or VA or whatever the case may be.
I think our insurance companies and the government and things are realizing that the longer someone can stay in their home, the less expensive it is for the individual, but also for the organizations that foot the bill for things. So we're starting to see a lot of these services kind of benefits creep into the plans.
Well, let's hope that continues. A Guide is a wonderful program, and it really does address those needs that are caused in many cases by fractioning the care. You know, if somebody can get the care coordinated and also address those caregiver needs, hopefully the outcomes, even though the person has dementia, hopefully the outcomes will be better, including their psychological symptoms and things like that.
Right. Some of the things what kind of like popped in my mind, because that's what happens to old people. When it comes in, it's got to come out.
Oh, that must mean I'm an old person.
You'll be, it comes in your mind. My mother, she's 95, and she says, well, if it comes in my brain, it's got to come out my mouth right now because I will forget it.
I was going to say, for me, it just flies out the other side.
So are some of these services like, is it a every day? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it, or is there a little bit of everything?
Well, again, I mean, it's totally customizable. So to the needs of the person. Okay. And so sometimes we have a 4-hour minimum for our services. So anytime a caregiver be asked to come, it'd be expected that he or she be allowed to stay for that 4 hours. But beyond that, there are no limits. Okay. So there are no minimum number of visits per week or anything like that. So we really do literally 1 day a week for 4 hours all the way up to 24/7. We can provide 24/7 care.
Wow. So that's like you say. So sometimes people, they don't think about it, but they just need a little help.
Yes.
And even if your services aren't available to them, they could call you and find out if. And again, with this Team Alliance, you'll say, Trish says, well, I can't do it, but I know someone that can.
Exactly.
And sometimes we don't know where to go.
Exactly. And I'm happy to point them in the right direction.
We're going to be talking again to Michelle Smeltzer from the Department of Social Services, and she's kind of our community liaison. You kind of got that title too, don't you? And but it's always good when they do that one-stop resource center. Sometimes 30 or 40 organizations show up, and the best thing to do is just go there and like, well, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And you find out. And
that's what happens.
Yeah. And I think even the organizations, well, I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah.
And so it's a great referral tool.
Absolutely.
And sometimes now's the time to do it. Don't wait till you get to the point where you need it.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's absolutely.
Or maybe your parents are that way, and and you may end up being the caregiver. It'd be kind of nice to know what kind of services are available to you.
Exactly, and my father, when he was alive, toward the end of his life, had a need for these types of things, and at that time in my life, I had no clue that such things were available. So it's absolutely worth going out and finding these things ahead of time so that you're not put into a crisis situation and then struggling to bring things up to speed.
Yeah, I really like the name, Retire in Place.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it kind of like tells the whole story, doesn't it?
I believe it does. Yeah. I really like it, and the logo I think is really nice.
Yeah, I think it's so cool because, like you say, it's the longer you can stay in your own home and around your own familiar things, even as you get a little slow in the brain, we won't call it dementia, but, sometimes there's a lot of, that's a broad term.
Right.
But sometimes you just, I don't really want to leave. And that's how come people end up staying but they don't get any social activities.
They stay, they stay at home and maybe not safely.
Right.
That's what we're trying to prevent. So, again.
And these activities, I would like to say, a lot of these organizations, yours and others, and the senior center, people can go, keep their socialization. We got meals and health care, and we talk to people that, they have like it's an adult daycare almost, for people to go. And I think the big thing that almost every organization we've talked to, they mentioned this respite care, and that's something we don't want to overlook.
There was one other thing that I did want to mention as well, because I saw in your last interview that you spoke with Ben Weber from Blue Ridge Independence at Home. Our agency partners with Blue Ridge Independence at Home.
That's a neat organization.
Isn't
I didn't even know about them.
Yes, I know. And so I did want to mention that we do partner with them. So that's one way someone could capture services that may not otherwise be able to afford them.
Right,
so those people are duly Medicaid and Medicare eligible. So if they have those in-home care needs, then they might, we partner with them to provide that service and get it through their insurance benefit.
Yeah.
So.
I like it. He's almost like the same way in a way. It's like we're a one-stop. We're gonna take care of you.
Yes.
And at the same time, you can still live at home.
Yes.
We'll go see you.
Exactly. So win-win.
Yeah, it's win-win. And I think something, again, don't wait until it's you really get beyond needing the services. And sometimes you could have had this thing for months or years and enjoyed your life a lot fuller.
Absolutely.
Right.
I wholeheartedly
It's our golden
agree.
years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you
we
should
spend our
them
gold.
the
That's
way you
why-
want them. Oh, well.
But, they say we spend 80% of our healthcare dollars in our last 6 months of our lives.
Oh, well,
Let's
that could
not
very
let's
well
not
be
wait so
true.
long. Let's do it sooner.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things we can do as we get older, and we use a lot of excuses for not doing them. And I think the big thing is keep active, find out what your benefits are, go to I think all of us should. My grandmother, I'll tell you a real quick story. She was maybe in her late 70s or something, and I went to visit her, and I said, they were getting ready to go out. I said, where are you going? Oh, we're going down to the old folks' home and help out. And here they were probably older than most of the people that were there.
Right.
But again, that's good because they ended up going there, the same place they kind of volunteered for much later. And then she
Get
had a
to know the
stroke.
people
And you don't realize what happens to you. One day you're in great shape, next day you're down. And it's always
That's
nice.
true.
So I always encourage people to volunteer because there's you meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
A lot of neat people.
I meet a lot of cool people in my job.
Yeah. And we go to the nursing homes around. Well, I guess that's kind of a term that we use at our age, but there are assisted living and our long-term care places, and we try to interview a lot of, especially like veterans and things. And our World War II veterans are leaving us so quick, and they've got a lot of stories to tell. And I encourage people to talk to your parents and talk to your grandparents and find out those stories that you never heard before.
Absolutely.
And learn these things and help them out. So,
Absolutely. And our caregiver would be, happy to facilitate that and to maybe record something.
Yeah, it's always important to do that.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Personal family histories are so important.
Trish, I really appreciate you coming in and sharing the services at your company, and this is great that you partner with all the other ones as well. And it's kind of a cool thing.
I appreciate your having me.
All right.
Thanks you so
again.
much.
Appreciate it.